Hi, I am Brent Cassing, and I'm the board president of Ray of Hope Amazon. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you a little bit about what we do with Ray of Hope Amazon, how I actually became president and do this type of work, and then a little bit on the project that that Hope Point is helping us with. So Ray of Hope operates out of Manaus, Brazil. We serve the people who live along the Amazon River. We provide humanitarian aid. We work with kids, families, and special needs. We do mission trips, so host mission trips. I'm taking one in June down there with them. We have mental health psychologists that help with people there, and we do pastor care. And one of the things, that's the project that I'm going to talk about in a little bit. But I think, first of all, before I go into a little bit about that project, I think it's important to look about how did I get to where I am today, because I think it relates to a lot of what hopefully you all are going through or maybe thinking about. I've always gone to church. I grew up in Peoria, Illinois, and I just went to church. And so I always thought my job as a Christian was to go to church, and pastors were doing the Jesus disciple-y thing, right? And so I came to church, I wrote the checks, they did the Jesus stuff, right? And then we're in Washington, D.C. area, Northern Virginia, and for whatever reason at that point, I was like, okay, it's time to actually stop being a spectator and start to participate in the Jesus thing. And so I was sitting there thinking, okay, now am I going to do something that Jesus is telling me to do? I'm going to do what exactly I don't want ever to do in my life. And those two things were outreach, mission work, and children's worship. And so children's worship is the worst, or children's ministry is the worst. So I said, I'm going on a mission trip, and we went to Haiti, where we spent all week dealing with kids. And so right now, everyone's probably thinking, I don't ever want to do this. Whatever you're thinking in your head, God is really saying, yeah, that's what you need to be doing. And so we moved to Kansas City about 10 years ago, and the church we were attending was taking their first trip to Haiti. So I went back with them that time, and I found that, wow, I really enjoy this aspect of doing mission work, and I actually enjoy talking and working with kids, amazingly enough. And then I was helping that church out with some of their outreach plans and outreach work when they said, hey, let's take a exploratory trip to the Amazon. I'm like, okay, let's see what that's like. And it was on that trip, this was like 2014-15 time frame, where I realized this was where God had meant me to be the whole time. Before that time, I never did any of this stuff. I never really prayed for people. I never prayed for people to accept Christ. I never played guitar. I never led worship. I never delivered message in a church. All those things came about because I said yes to that one thing there. And what I learned also now as we talk about Ray of Hope and what we do down there was, I went down there thinking I can help somebody else. Why not? I'll take a week off, spend some money, and go down there and help somebody else. And then I realized that I wasn't really helping anybody else, although I was. I didn't realize how much this meant to me as a human being, as a Christian, and how much it helped my lives by serving others. And it was just this total thing in my life that I didn't really quite understand how that all worked, but now I can't help but want to go down there and spend more time with them and do that work, which is why I'm so excited that Hope Point is joining us. Preston and Justin are actually going with me. We're going to be down there in April, and here's what we're going to do. There's a town nearby. It's about 7 to 8 hours by boat. The river goes up and down 30 to 60 feet a year, so sometimes there's shortcuts because the water's higher. And so we're going to go down in this village, and I went down there in October, and our plan was to meet with 5 or 6 pastors and ask them about, okay, we're going to have a conference, because pastors down there, the jungle pastors, they don't necessarily have buildings, resources, money, any of that stuff. And it's very important, and the other thing I learned was, it's very important that we invest in people to be disciples. We're not there every day. We have to invest in others. So just like Josh and, and Allison and Justin, the people here can't do everything themselves. They need your help. They need our help down there. And we need to invest in their team. Just like Jesus had his disciples, we need to invest in them. So we're investing in pastors. And so we went there expecting to have 5 or 6 people. We had 20 pastors show up, cross denominations, which never happens down there. And we had I facilitated a session where we talked about what do they like to talk about? What are the things we'd like to have happen in April? And so they brought up the following things: keeping people involved in the church, discipleship, kids in worship ministry, addiction support, and pastor care. What was amazing about the conversation we had with them is I could be having that same conversation all throughout Johnson County and all across the United States, right? So we're going to have about 50 pastors brought into this small town in the jungle, and we're going to spend 2 days with them, investing in them, praying with them, worshiping with them, and helping them in their walk to show that they're not alone and that we're there and we're there to support them. So one of the most impactful things that happened to me as we were wrapping up that session in October was one of the pastors came up to me, this man right up here, and he said to me, "I've been praying for someone like you to come to this and do this for us for a long time." It's the most humbling thing possible for somebody to say that to me. And of course, I'm doing like this type of thing, like, are you talking to me? Because I'm just some dude from Kansas that came down and wanted to help. And I just think it was the kindest thing that anyone could say to me. And I'm so excited about the opportunity to partner with these guys. And I just want to let all of you know, there's people out there that are praying for someone like you to come them, whether it's in school, at work, in the community, at Walmart, wherever you are. There's people that are waiting for someone like you, and they just need to take that opportunity to take that next step in your faith and life and say, yes, God, I'm going to follow you, and I'm going to do that. So I just encourage you all this week, be the answer to somebody's prayer who's saying, I've been praying for someone like you to come see me and visit with me and let me know that I care and that I'm loved and that you're not alone and God loves you. So I really appreciate Hope Point and their support with this. It's an amazing opportunity, and we are going to have a blast. Thank you.
언제나